Caregivers, have you ever felt like nothing, I mean nothing is going right? Well, cheer up and welcome to Dave the Caregiver's Caregiver radio program, where you'll learn how to avoid that dreaded thing called caregiver burnout and how to survive the grief process. You know, with roughly 100 million caregivers in the U.S. and Canada alone, that's about a third of the population. That means that everyone probably knows someone caring for a loved one. Join Dave and his guests now and every Wednesday at noon Pacific Time as they discuss avoiding caregiver burnout and surviving grief. So find a comfortable place to relax, kick up your feet, and prepare to feel better and to receive practical tips and tools that you can start using immediately to get you through today and every day so you can survive your tomorrows. But not just survive, but to live life fully and abundantly. Yes, you heard me right. That is a possible goal to achieve. And now, here's your host, Dave Nassani.
From Los Angeles, a big LA welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I am Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, coming to you live globally through the famous iTunes and YouTube and Blog Talk Radio, as well as our website and 7 other platforms. Our goal here is to do our very best to help you avoid that dreaded thing called caregiver burnout. So we're glad you joined us today. We will be interviewing Liz Gindraux. That sounds French, kind of. I'm probably crucifying the pronunciation. Carol Palmer and Susan Evans, founders of Rivet Revolution, which creates simple handcrafted jewelry with one mission in mind: end Alzheimer's. What a great mission that is. So stay tuned and find out how you will not want to miss this program, believe me. As I said, I'm your host, Dave Nassani, and this show is caregivers of every single kind. And one thing we know about caregivers is that they're caring and selfless and sacrificial, and they have this tiny little problem. You see, they're very prone to burnout because they tend to put everyone else's needs above their own. Sound familiar? You know, we can learn a lesson from the airlines because they tell us in the event of an emergency, put your own oxygen mask on first before you attempt to help your loved one with their mask. And why do they tell us this? It sounds like the most selfish thing a parent can do to their kid, right? I mean, you can imagine the planes going down, everyone's screaming, fire coming off of the wings, and your bundle of joy gasping for breath. Whose mask are you going to put on first? Well, I'm the caregiver's caregiver. I'm not even sure that I could do it, but I know I'm supposed to. Because if you don't, the airlines know that you will black out and most likely won't be able to help anybody with anything. Now, we also talk about grief and loss here on this show because anytime anyone suffers a loss, you know, a divorce, a breakup, cancer, bankruptcy, you name it, they're going to go through a grief process. And it is a process. You can't just get through it overnight. I wish you could, but you can't. Unfortunately, folks, there's only one way out of the grief process. Got to go through it. No shortcuts. So hopefully we can help you through your grief and your loss if you happen to feel like, you know, you're kind of stuck. And I do want to take this time and thank my last week's guest, brand new caregiver, Steve Muniz. And we'll be talking, or we were talking about, you know, brand new caregivers, and they're so naive. They kind of jump into these things head first, kind of clueless about what they're getting involved in. And it's a great interview, and you should check it out if you missed it. What else? Well, just a reminder, you can hear that interview and all these interviews, including this one, on my website, caregiverscaregiver.com. And I am so excited. Just another, gosh, we're talking weeks now, where my book is going to come out. It's My Life Too. Reclaim Your Caregiver Sanity by Learning When to Say Yes and When to Say No. And I was at Harvard University promoting the book, got to share the stage with Suzanne Summers. She was promoting her book, Toxic, that's TOX-SICK. Great book. She's a great woman and a great advocate for interactive and alternative medicine. But enough of that. Let's get to our guests. A big welcome to the Rivet Revolution girls, Susan Evans, Carol Palmer, and Liz. How do you say your last name, Liz? You can unmute yourself now.
Gindraux.
Gindraux. Is that French, like I assumed?
It is Swiss, if you want to be very...
Swiss. Okay, yeah. So you like Swiss cheese, right? That's your cheese of choice?
I do like cheese, I will say that.
Well, welcome to the show, girls, and thanks so much for agreeing to come on. I'm so excited to have you all. Adrienne, it's the first time we've ever had
Yes.
anybody in one shot, one frame shot.
Mm-hmm.
Girls, guys, boys, or men. You're the first. We're breaking history today. So
Well,
why
Dave,
don't you
thank you
take
very
a
much for
minute,
having us all.
girls, and I'm going to just keep calling you girls because it's simpler because you look like young girls. And
Works better.
one at a time. Liz, Carol, and I'm missing someone. Liz, Carol.
Susan.
See,
Karen
I'm
and
just not used to this.
Julie.
Susan, Liz, and Carol. I got it. Now, are you in that order? Let me see. Who the white one is
Susan.
Susan, and then
Liz.
Liz, and then
And
Carol.
then
Okay, I'll just
Carol.
keep it in that order. Susan, Liz, and Carol.
There you go.
This is going to be easy, I think. We'll determine how much. No, sorry, we're not going to go there.
There
You
you
know,
go.
it's all women, and
I have a
you're not.
doctor's appointment. Am I cutting out, or am I?
No, I'm saying
Okay.
you've got all women here. You're not going to get a word in edgewise.
I'm totally used to it. I have 3 daughters and a wife, and I've always been outnumbered, but I always seem to make my case. But it doesn't
Okay.
matter, but at least I can make my case. So why don't we start with Susan, right?
Sure.
Tell us who you are and why you were put on this earth.
Well, why I was put on the earth. I'm Susan Evans. I have 3 children that are grown children and a husband. I am entering into what I would call my second act in life. The kids are gone. I'm in my late
Empty nester.
and I was doing some part-time consulting for a company, looking to what I was really going to do, with the time that I had on my hands, since I wasn't really volunteering in the schools anymore or in the community, and I kind of wanted to do something that meant something to me with my free time. And I met Liz, and during the same time that I met Liz, I was dealing with my aging mother and father, and my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and my mother was the caregiver. And it was incredibly difficult on my mother, as you just said about the oxygen mask. It was really failing my mother trying to take care of my father. And they live in the same community I do. So I stepped in, and then we made a very difficult decision to put him in a home. And as it turns out, Liz asked me what was wrong one day, and I told her, and her mother also has Alzheimer's. Liz was the caregiver, and she had to put her mother in a home. So that's how the connection started. And Carol also has a very dear kind of surrogate grandmother who also has Alzheimer's and lived next door to their family growing up. So that's how the connection started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. 1 in 5, I think, is the statistic.
I'm on this earth to help end Alzheimer's, to raise money for caregiver support, research, and to hopefully, I just saw an ad last night about the first person that would have a cure, that would be cured from Alzheimer's, and I really hope that can be sooner versus later in the next.
Hallelujah. Liz, tell us who you are and why you're here.
So similar to Susan, I am the mother of 3 darling children who are adults, and I have a terrific husband. Live in the Bay Area and have been here for 18 years. 2 kids in college, 1 graduated from college. I'm an only child, and as Susan said, I was caring for my mom. Unfortunately, my mom passed away a few months ago from Alzheimer's, but she was certainly a big part of my desire to start the company with these guys, these terrific people. Girls, sorry.
Girl.
Yeah, I'm not the only confused one here.
I can say guys.
It's kind of a California thing,
True.
I think.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's right. I give you permission as a Californian, former New Yorker, to use the term guys because we're all non-gender now.
Who's the former New Yorker?
Me.
You?
In Brooklyn. I told you that. It was only 6 years, but it counts.
It counts.
I still do have an accent when I want to. Carol.
Yes, I was born and raised in California. I live in Burlingame. I'm married with my husband, and we have two boys, both seniors, one in high school, one in college. And like Susan said, I had a surrogate godmother or surrogate grandmother / fairy godmother. It was our next door neighbor when I was growing up that had Alzheimer's, and my mother was her caretaker. And I saw the wear and tear that it took on her, the toll it took on my mom, and we called the lady Sal, and she had no family. We were her only family, and she was part of every holiday, every birthday, every wedding, everything. And it was a lot. It was a lot for my mom to deal with. A lot.
You just reminded me that my wife was a caregiver to our next door neighbor. She was a little old lady named Lorraine, and such an amazing story. She was driving in the Sequoias back in God knows when, 1900 whatever, and this man caused an accident, and both her parents died. And the man felt so guilty about it that he married her, and he was like 30 years older than her.
Wow.
And she was a young teenager,
Wow.
and so she married him.
Could have just
And then he died, of course, because he was so much older, and she had all these knickknacks and everything. And one day she came over, and my wife went over there, and she had suffered a stroke and was just, couldn't get up from the ground, and she was around, pee was around her body, and so they took her to the hospital, but she didn't make it. But she was a sweet old lady, and she used to walk like 3 miles a day, and she was like 85. So thanks for reminding me that my wife used to be a caregiver.
Yeah. Remind your
Now,
wife.
if she was here, she'd say, "Of course I was. How could you forget that?"
She's also probably caring for you just a bit too.
Yes, of course. Now, how did you girls come up with the idea for this company? It is a company, right?
It's
Call it a company?
a thriving, growing company. Every day we grow just a little bit bigger, and word spreads just a little bit more.
Whose idea was it?
Well, it was. I like to say it was an idea of all three of us. It certainly had a lot to do with Susan and I going over plans for her dad and ideas for how to handle the situation with her dad. And out of those conversations came the idea that we really would like more awareness of Alzheimer's. We'd like people to feel more comfortable to talk about their loved ones that are struggling with Alzheimer's. We'd like to get the disease out of the shadows. And we weren't really completely sure what that meant. And then Carol came to the table, and we started talking about jewelry, and Carol started designing ideas around jewelry. And so I really do think it was a group effort.
Oh, absolutely. But it was really, I felt like my dad was failing, my mother was supporting him, and it was incredibly difficult, and wanted to do something that kept the memory too, the memory of my father. And as a thank you to the other caregivers, that was really a big thing, that wanted to thank all the people. It wasn't just my mother, it was my mother's friends, it was my friends, it was my husband, it was my kids' friends. So that's why it's a unisex design with also it's multi-generational.
From the piece that I got for you, it looks like you're very concerned about the caregiver as well as the patient.
Oh, absolutely.
When we formed the company, we had three goals, and we like to say we had three goals in mind. One was to fund research, because we all hope that we can find a cure for Alzheimer's. The other was to fund support for caregivers, because we all knew how difficult it can be on the caregiver and the loved ones left behind. And the third reason was we wanted to have fun.
Right.
Well, you all have different gifts, and you all got together and you all brainstormed. See what could happen when three intelligent women get together and brainstorm, Adrienne.
We can change the world.
That's what we hope to do.
And also
the world.
I'd like to change the world just a little bit right about now.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're somehow connected to Maria Shriver and the Alzheimer's group. Explain that. How did that happen?
Well, we started, our objective was to get as many Revolution bands and bracelets on as many people as we could, to create a network of support, to raise awareness, to take the stigma away from Alzheimer's. One of the things that you brought up before about caregiver support is to create this network. It was very interesting to me that I didn't really know Liz, yet we connected immediately because of the Alzheimer's component. She was very helpful to me in my journey. I mean, people are helpful, but when you're living in it, it helped her by talking to me about it, for being a caregiver for me, and it helped me by getting her advice. So our objective is, as fast as we could, Carol mostly made these bracelets so that we could get them in as many hands as we could, so that we could create this conversation. And as it turned out, we got them on the right people at the right events, and we really donated the majority of all these bracelets, out of our own starting the company out of the company. And we got in front of Maria Shriver's team a few too many times, which is good news. And we got a call from them saying, who are you and what is this? And we want to be a part of it. And so that was the beginning of the Maria Shriver connection.
That is so cool. Networking is so powerful. I mean, I met you guys through Kelly and the Alzheimer's support group, and that's amazing. She's
an amazing group of
amazing
volunteers.
People. Lisa, great group of people. So.
It's interesting to me. I feel like everyone in the Alzheimer's community is a little bit related in one way, shape, or form.
That's the way I feel about caregivers.
Yeah, exactly. We were very lucky very early on in the when we launched the company. We made we were introduced to some amazing people, and they have since become partners of ours in this journey. I like that word, journey. You use that word.
Yeah.
So we were introduced primarily because it is somebody that Susan knows, to a woman named Mikey Hogue, who started a fundraiser called Part the Cloud, and it is an incredibly successful, well-respected event that is held annually and raises money for Alzheimer's research. She happens to be based here in Portola Valley, and so it is a local event for us, but it is actually nationally supported.
She's the single biggest fundraiser in the United States, and just received international award.
Yeah, right. So we were very lucky to partner with her, and so part of the funds that we raise go to Mikey's foundation, Part of the Cloud, for research. And then, interestingly enough, through that connection, we were also introduced to the folks at Hilarity for Charity. Lauren
Rogan
and her husband Seth Rogen, and they started Hilarity for Charity to fund support for caregivers. And so we've been partnering with those two organizations for almost a year. It's coming up on a year, and we just feel very honored to be associated with them. And then our latest partnership is Maria Shriver and the Women's Alzheimer's Movement. We're very excited about that and what the future holds for that relationship.
Which goes to both research and caregiver support. The identifying marker now with the diagnosis of Alzheimer's is, 2/3 are women. And I think that's a hormonally based outcome. So,
I always used to say, quote something, and I never realized that somebody else was quoting it before me. It's the former First Lady of Jimmy Carter, Rosalind Carter. She likes to say that there are 4 kinds of people in the world. I used to say there's 3, but there are 4. Those who used to be caregivers, those who are caregivers, those who are going to become caregivers, and unfortunately, those who are going to need a caregiver. So, Carol, tell me how, did you make jewelry like all your life?
Pretty much all my life. Little girl, I'd, find things in nature and my father's workbench, and I'd make jewelry out of just about anything I could find. And then back in the 70s, we had Bedazzled. I don't know if you remember Adrienne Bedazzled. And I would take all my birthday money, Christmas money, allowance, and buy all sorts of things to string together. And
we should bring that back.
Yeah.
I bet turquoise was a big part of your ingredients.
Carol's big
turquoise and silver.
Yeah, Carol's very humble. She has had very successful jewelry enterprises over the course of the last,
Really?
yes,
But
20
yes, I've been
years.
making it all my life. Yes.
Who designed
Yes,
your
sir.
logo?
It was kind of a combined effort, but
Okay.
It was many hours of funny conversations
and drawing
and
and
drawings and a little bit of wine.
It's
and-
very good. It's very good looking and very, very
Thank you.
very sex neutral. Yeah.
it was inspired a little bit by the old tokens, bus tokens, ferry tokens, and I wanted to have a little bit of an industrial and vintage look.
They do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Listen, we're up on a break already. I can tell this hour is going to go really fast, so don't go away, and we will be right back.
All right.
Okay.
Now we're on.
Anytime we suffer loss, we grieve. And a lot of people don't realize what even the grief process is. But it could be 5 to 7 steps ranging from denial, I don't believe this is happening, anger, oh my gosh, I'm so upset this is happening, to a form of bargaining, how can I get out of this, to depression, which is a very serious thing because that often leads to suicide. And then finally, after you realize you have no more control over your situation and you're totally okay with the new normal that it brings, that wonderful, wonderful place called acceptance.
Being a caregiver takes a special person with passion and compassion. But even you can become a little burned out from time to time. The Caregiver's Caregiver radio show was developed to help you overcome obstacles, adversity, and burnout, as well as just having a place to rest, relax, and recharge your batteries. We've all been there, and you're not alone. Now, you can take the Caregiver's Caregiver with you. Get the top 25 radio shows in convenient form that plugs right into your USB car stereo or computer. Learn the techniques, tips, and encouragement we all need to better handle the day-to-day challenges. For around $1 per show, just $29.77, get the credit card-sized USB card to have with you anytime you need a caregiver's pick-me-up. Just go to DaveTheCaregiversCaregiver.com and order yours today. Go to DaveTheCaregiversCaregiver.com now. Consider it an investment in you, and ultimately, an investment in them.
And we're back with Adrienne and me, Dave Nassani, and our guests Susan, Liz, and Carol of Rivet Revolution. I've got to ask because I'm a marketing guy. I'm an entrepreneur, and I said I should be able to know what this means, how you got the name. What's the significance? But I just can't do it. Maybe I'm just a guy and not a girl. I know. How did you come up with the name, and what does it mean?
Well, the rivet is an industrial fastener that forms a strong and permanent connection.
Yes.
And we thought that industrial was a good kind of a vibe for unisex and multi-generational. It's easy to understand. It's not too fussy or too feminine. And we liked the idea of something that represented a strong and permanent bond because we feel like that's what you really need when your life is falling apart. You need something to hold it together. And it's also representational of the connections you make through the disease and the connections that you depend on for help with extended family and friends. And it was a way of bringing it all together. We felt like Rivet Revolution, and we want to start a revolution. We want to change the way people look at Alzheimer's. We want to change the way our government funds Alzheimer's. We want to start a revolution.
I feel like we should sing right now. We need the Rolling Stones right now.
No, not the Rolling Stones.
You mean you don't have you didn't come up with a jingle yet?
No, I don't jingle.
That'll be next on your.
You do.
I break into song and dance a lot, but I would strongly discourage that right now.
Now, I'm sorry. Someone said that their mother died of Alzheimer's, and I was going to ask that
Liz.
person, Liz.
Oh, that was me.
Thank you. Sorry, Liz. I was going to ask you, were you, because this is on a lot of people's hearts. My mother died of dementia, and now Charlene, my wife's wife, my wife, her mother has dementia, but she doesn't know she has it. She just thinks that we're all crazy and I'm out to kill her and steal her house. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's really bad. She's still living in her home, and we can't get a doctor to diagnose her because she just snowballs them. She can answer all the questions, and so we finally got her out of the hospital. We took her to the hospital for a 72-hour evaluation because she was calling the cops like 5 times a day, 10 times at night to come because someone's breaking in and stealing the jewelry, the money, the food, the pots and pans. And then finally somebody stole her wheelchair, but she left it in her neighbor. It was stuck in a ditch. So, and after 72 hours, they said, we can't hold her because she's in good physical condition. And, these new laws to protect seniors from their um, uh, bad kids are putting into place. So, I mean, I forgot what I was asking.
About her mother.
Yeah. I mean, my,
Oh, yeah, I know. I sorry. The question is, were you relieved when she died for her sake or for your sake, or is it bittersweet? Explain the emotions you went through when an Alzheimer's patient who's just suffers every day and begs God to take them, and then they finally go, what kind of emotions?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said bittersweet. I mean, um, unfortunately, my mom had been struggling for almost 10 years. The first few years were mild cognitive decline, but by about year 4, it was starting to become very serious, and her quality of life went completely downhill at that point in time. And she was no longer living independently. I had moved her into a memory care facility, and yeah, I mean, there were definitely days and many conversations with both of these guys, but certainly with Susan because of what she's going through with her dad, where I wished that my mom would pass away because it was just awful and painful to watch her be so agitated, so unhappy, so confused. She had a very rough childhood, and unfortunately, the Alzheimer's sort of took her back to that childhood. And so she was reliving what was not a particularly good time in her life. And it was very, very sad to watch. And so what happened to my mom in the end is she fell and broke her hip. And the trauma from the broken hip is ultimately what caused her to pass away.
Yeah.
So
Is it bad? Is it wrong? Because I'm tempted to feel guilty to pray, Lord, please let her fall and break her neck so that she can be out of her misery and she can move on to the next world. I mean,
So I
I
think
bet there's
that's
a lot of
bad
people who
now.
think that. Pardon?
Yeah.
Susan can chime in on that.
I think that's bad.
Dave, I just wrote a blog. 2 things I'd like to say to that and respond to that is probably the poison that I'm going through daily is guilt. I think guilt is just a poison to our beings. And I have guilt about trying to take care of my mother who is half widowed. And I take guilt of not seeing my father who doesn't even know if I'm there. But the guilt out of being with him is horrific. And I just wrote a blog on our website actually about the pain that my mother's going through because she is half widowed. She literally, my mother is 81. She is adorable. She is completely has all of her mental and physical health. And she is chained to a memory care facility 20 minutes away from our house. And she is unable to move on. And so the guilt of me, hoping that the spirits can take my dad and release him from this incredible prison that he is in right now, from just his mind, is it's hard to say, but I saw Liz go through it, and she had told me that she had wished for that, and when the reality happens, it's incredibly sad.
I think that Alzheimer's and dementia is different for everybody, and I have friends. I have one friend in particular whose mother is very sweet and very passive, and she can't communicate, but she appears to be at peace. She doesn't appear to be agitated and in distress with her Alzheimer's. Whereas, Susan and Liz's parents, totally different situations. So I think it's easy for somebody maybe watching Susan and Liz speaking to judge their situation and say, wow, you should enjoy, but everybody's experience is different. And Susan and Liz both watch their parents go through just very difficult emotions. So I just interject with that because I know that everybody's situation is different, and it's easy to be on the outside and looking at somebody else and judge what they're feeling and what they are experimenting. So I say that in defense of my partner.
Well, no, but really the situation here is my dad does not know the last minute or the future minute. He lives in an isolated space where he doesn't know anyone around him. He doesn't know there's no love. There's no, because this Alzheimer's has taken his mind and completely suffocated it, that there is no, so is my dad happy? There's no emotion. There is, he is taken care of. So
my mom, when I was growing up, my mom took care of both of my grandmothers. Both my dad's mom and my mom's mom lived with us at different periods of time. They both had Alzheimer's. Does not bode well for my future.
You'll be fine with us. I'm going to end it.
Okay, good. So, and my mom was a nurse, so it made perfect sense for my mom to care for my grandmothers. And because of that, and because of that experience, my mom and I had hours and hours of conversations about what would happen to her and what was the plan for her, because she knew in her heart of hearts she was eventually going to get Alzheimer's. And so there was a lot of planning that went into what happened with my mom. And I felt like she was, because she was part of the planning and part of the process, as each phase unraveled, I felt like I was doing what we had discussed we were going to do. So I was not guilty when I moved her into assisted living. I did not feel guilty when I moved her into the memory care facility. But you do, and I did not feel guilty wishing that she would pass away, because she never wanted to live like that. She had seen it. She had taken care of it. She never wanted to live like that. So, I don't think you should feel guilty. I don't think people should. I do.
Well, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and taking care of him, my father would always say to us, never let that happen to me. I never want to be a burden on you. I never want this to happen. Yeah. So those conversations resonate in my mind, that the planning was just never let that happen. I never.
Why do you still feel guilty?
Pardon me?
Why do you still feel guilty, Susan?
Oh, I just think guilt is an emotion that's a really hard thing to say. Oh, I'm not going to be guilty. Because I wish it wasn't true. I wish it wasn't so. I wish my mother could be released. I wish my dad could be released. And there is absolutely no control I have over the future. That is the hardest thing.
I wanted to know whether or not, Susan, whether or not you've been able to have a conversation with your mother about guilt that she might have. Did the two of you discuss what she's going through and what she's feeling?
I don't think my mother feels guilty. I think she's really come to terms. She's doing the best that she can.
I'm going to interject.
And does she wish that it were over?
Probably.
Will she? Probably. Okay.
I would say probably, but I'm not going to answer yes or no.
Okay.
Maybe that's a conversation you need to have with her.
That's the tough one.
Yeah, I get the feeling your mom's not ready to say goodbye.
We actually have had the conversation. I think she is. But, that's such a
her
personal
cutest person in the world.
Yeah.
So is mine. Little 4'9", just a teddy bear.
Mine's 5'1", actually 5 foot.
She used to be 5 foot. In fact, I don't ever think she was 5 foot. She used to say she was 5 foot.
Yeah, exactly.
But then she started shrinking.
Yeah.
I called her the incredible shrinking woman.
Yeah.
She hated that.
I'm shrinking.
We're
all
all
are.
shrinking.
I'm
So tell
shrinking
me, where
during this
does
conversation.
where does the $10 donation bracelet go, and what is supported, and is there still enough profit to be profit?
So
Good question.
that's a good question. The $10 donation goes to, depending upon what's purchased, goes to one of our partners, either Hilarity for Charity or Part the Cloud or the Women's Alzheimer's Movement. And is there leftover profit? There's enough money left over for us to continue to
Make bracelets
make bracelets.
to give away.
Yeah. None of us are taking a salary.
Right.
None of us are really making anything off of this right now.
But we're still having fun, which is our number 3 goal.
Right.
But we're still in the first year of business,
Yes.
and we've had startup costs with just
Yeah.
You're sharing the
I manage sample makers and everything else. Finding your suppliers.
Oh yeah, the suppliers.
You know, you just need to go on
It's
Oprah
business.
and
Production and our website and advertising and print materials.
Dave, that would be
Takes a lot.
great. We'd love an introduction to Oprah.
Yeah.
Me too.
as soon as I get it, I'll bring everybody with me.
You just add her in. Hardwire.
I only met Suzanne Summers, so I'm working on that. I got this idea now. You know what? I'm going to start sending letters to all the famous celebrities and encourage them to help my caregiver audience by coming on my radio show.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to field questions with Suzanne when I was in Harvard. I gave her my card, told her how my wife had a stroke that, is hormone related. When she was 52, she was, in menopause, and she says, "Oh, that is such a common story." And so,
I was
we
lucky.
connected, and so I'm going to try to use that as a springboard, because that's how you network, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my hot
There's so
flash.
many. I sent one to Henry Winkler. I sent one to Maria Shriver. I sent one to Joan London. I can't even remember who I sent it to, but
Lisa Gibbons.
not yet.
You said this earlier. Everybody, and we say this to ourselves a lot. Everybody knows somebody with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So
And just because you're famous
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're stuck up and snobby. There's a lot of famous people. Did you know that Suzanne Summers has been married 50 years to the same man? Her 82-year-old manager, and he recently broke his ankle, showing off, being a man. And so they live on this big hill, and they thought that somebody was at the top. So he was, he checked it out, and then he thought he'd just jump down off the hill like Superman. And so while they did an X-ray of his bones, they discovered that he had the bone density of a 25-year-old.
Ah.
And she credits it to the hormones, the natural hormones that he's been taking, testosterone for men. I didn't know men can take hormones. Yeah. So her new book, Toxic, TOX-SICK, I'm just telling everybody I know to read it, because she is such an advocate for, health
She's a cancer
interactive medicine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super cool. I used to watch her on TV.
Three's Company.
Yeah.
Love that.
And she invented that Thigh Master, because they dumped Chrissy, and instead of getting depressed, her husband says, "You know what? You have a famous name. You got higher ratings than John Ritter." He was making like some crazy amount of money, more than any woman in the industry.
Right.
And even so, she was more popular on the show than he was. And she just asked for a raise to I can't remember the exact numbers, but it seemed like about half what he was making. Just, let me be a little more fair. They dumped her.
Yeah.
So she took the fame of her name and became one of the greatest entrepreneurs the world has seen.
Yeah. She has a cool story. Definitely a cool story.
She does. And just a famous.
We don't have a famous name, but we might have a famous name one day.
Rivet Revolution.
No, I was thinking our names might be famous.
Oh, that's true.
You could say your name, maybe.
I know. I'm not sure I'm going to be the one that's famous, though.
We need an acronym.
We're having so much fun here. Let's take another break. since we're having so much fun. We'll be right back. Do not go away.
One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships is about Charlene, a stroke survivor. Back in 1996, Charlene was a healthy, normal, very active 52-year-old woman whose amazing talents resemble that of both a Martha Stewart and a Wonder Woman. But all that changed when she suffered a massive stroke that left her severely speech impaired and paralyzed on the right side. Who am I? My name is David. I've had the privilege of being Charlene's husband since 1975. We had a wonderful fairy tale storybook-like courtship that culminated in our marriage a year later. Charlene had just come out of a marriage where after 10 years, she received 2 black eyes and a broken nose by her former husband when he came home high on speed. Charlene believed in no second chances of any kind for abuse, so she left. Finding herself all alone in the world with her 5 and 10-year-old daughters, Cynthia Lorraine and Deborah Lynn, she started raising them by herself for the next 2 years. Then fate brought us all together. After falling in love with Charlene, Cindy, and Debbie, our love then produced Rebecca Elizabeth. We had a wonderful, normal life for the next 20 years. But today, things are very different for everyone. One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships is the amazing story of a woman's fight to survive all that life had thrown her way. Everyone who knows Charlene is thoroughly amazed at how she lives day by day, month by month, year by year, and with a smile on her face and hope in her heart that everything is going to be okay. Her faith in God is her foundation in this hope, that everything happens for a reason, and what doesn't kill her will make her stronger. She inspires everyone who meets her. Her accomplishments since her stroke are very impressive, often making us normal people look like whiners and complainers. So pick up your copy of One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships today. You won't be disappointed. Just hear what best-selling author Lynn Barrington has to say about it. If you think you have it bad, read this book. This is a beautiful, genuine story told from the heart. It's inspiring and easy to read. When you finish this book, you'll be able to look at your concerns in a new light. How about the reaction of 9-time Grammy and Dove Award recipient, the godfather of contemporary gospel Christian music, Andre Crouch? Charlene just won't let the promises of God go, and she has not let her circumstances get in the way of her faith. She's not just a survivor, she's more than a conqueror, as the Bible states. You'll be encouraged by her testimony, regardless of what you're going through. Available everywhere, but if you purchase your copy directly from the author's website, onearmoneleg100words.com, Charlene and David will personally autograph your copy. Enjoy!
And we're back with Adrienne Gruberg and our guests, Susan, Liz, and Carol from Rivet Revolution.
Hello.
The amazing thing is that all of this from Rivet Revolution was in my mailbox this morning.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's a fate.
I've got this and the bracelet and the logo and everything is first rate. The promotion is very attractive and is the kind of thing that people will respond to.
Thank you.
That was my business. Huh?
That was from the PR. That's from Double Forte.
I don't think so.
No.
Are you wearing? Don't ask. Are you wearing a bracelet?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I have mine on.
Adrienne, did you solicit that, or did they just send it to you?
No. They sent it to the caregiver space.
Oh. Was that because you were coming on the show, or just because you're in the middle of a campaign or something?
Maybe it's because we're just such a big site.
That is so rare.
We're
We've been
a
doing
major
this show.
Well,
I've been doing this show about 4 years, and I think you're the first one to send a gift out like that. Thank you.
Well, we're super.
Others have sent their materials and stuff.
Even more.
Successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do.
Oh, I like.
And this will get an article. So
Well, there you go.
Okay.
They achieved, a great deal with that. So
By the way, my wife loves jewelry, so
Oh, okay. Well, we'll
so
send you
that-
some.
hint, hint,
There was
hint.
definitely a point to that whole conversation. I think we had to
It just came out. I don't know.
Not Dave.
It was not premeditated.
They'll send your wife a care package for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And something for you too, because men wear Rivet
Yeah.
Revolution bracelets.
yes,
Unisex.
no way.
absolutely unisex.
So now I'm learning that men can take hormones and men can wear.
They can wear
bracelets.
jewelry. You can rock it, Dave.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a rock
Yeah,
star.
you can rock the revolution.
So, what are your plans for the future? Do you have plans for the future? Duh.
We have big plans.
I bet. Tell me about it.
Most of our plans have to do with reach. Our goal.
Yeah.
My
Is that
goal.
an acronym?
Yeah, no, it's not an acronym, but I wish it was. Now that you asked me one, no,
Well, now you can come up with one.
I don't know. I know you need to come up with one. I always used to tease these guys. I wanted 5 million revolution bands out and about and spreading the revolution. So that is my goal. I don't know what their goals are. But
By when?
You brought up
By
a point.
when? Every goal needs a deadline.
How many? Well, before
December.
Yeah.
Okay, Christmas
Okay.
is coming.
I better order more beads, huh?
Yes. You brought up a point, Dave or Adrienne, about the number of caregivers that are involved with each Alzheimer's person.
Yeah.
And, there's 5.5 million people with Alzheimer's in the country, about 26 million globally in the world. And the average number of caregivers that helps that one person is 5. So if you do the numbers, we're going to make Liz's goal easily, and we're going to help take the stigma away, show support for this caregiver network, and raise a bunch of money to help them and to help research. So that is our goal.
Cool.
And we are going to be.
I'm involved in a research project myself. There was an ad on Facebook that said, you can be a part of an Alzheimer's early detection project. Just call this number, and I did. And I've been seeing this memory specialist twice a year. This is the 3rd year now, and I actually have an appointment tomorrow because I'm always forgetting things, and my mother had dementia, and you just never know. And so they said that I'm below the borderline. I'm close to it, but I'm below the borderline as far as having a good memory and remembering things and recalling things. But the good news is that I'm not getting worse. In fact, the last time I was slightly better because I'm speaking now and I have to think off my off the cuff and so on. And so I started doing the piano again, trying to learn new songs. And when I go to Toastmasters, I'm always up there for the table topics, which means you have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes on something that you don't know what. They just tell you right on the spot. And then I took a couple of improv classes, which helps you think quickly on your feet. So I'll let everybody know if I'm continuing to improve tomorrow when I go see them. Of course, my wife thinks I'm like, crazy. We're over the top because
way over that.
she always sees when I lose my keys or I lose my wallet or I forget to.
Oh, you're human. Come on.
An item on the list, but the doctor says, it's normal to forget things, but if you later remember them, that's good. It means you don't have this disease. But if you can't remember later what you forgot, then that's a bad sign. That's like a hole on your hard drive, and it needs to be like sewn up or something. So Liz, I would recommend you look into that.
But how do you remember if you forgot?
Because you later remember.
How do you know if you forgot something if you forget something?
Because you can't remember, something. And you say, oh, it'll come to me later, and then 3 weeks later, you still can't remember what you're trying to remember.
3 weeks.
Other people start noticing, like, why weren't you at lunch? Or where's your car?
Yeah.
Or if there's missing pieces of your day, he says, I don't remember how I got from here to there. And a lot of times I'm driving and, we go on autopilot and I don't remember how I got where I'm going.
Yeah.
And that's just my own fault because that means I'm daydreaming of something instead of paying attention to my driving.
Easy when you're driving.
But the more you learn about Alzheimer's and dementia, the more paranoid you get about your normal memory and forgetfulness and just, yeah. And especially being women with menopause and hormones and depleted estrogen. And, we start getting a little fuzzier too.
Well, make sure you buy Suzanne Summers' book. It'll help you out with those.
I'm going to.
Okay.
I have a Thigh Master somewhere in my garage. I was a customer.
Maybe you can trade it in for a book.
There you go.
So, Dave, what is the study that you're participating in? Is it for a pharmaceutical company? Is it for a research hospital?
Aren't all studies for pharmaceutical companies? I mean,
Probably.
the profit modem with Alzheimer's and dementia is to find a cure. Why? Right. So that the pharmaceutical companies can become even bigger gazillionaires than they already are. And that's what motivates them. And you hear stories about these rare diseases that are just as devastating, but because not enough people have them, they don't want to do research, and so they're just out of luck.
I like to think, though, that the doctors that are developing these drugs for the pharmaceutical companies, that their mission is to change lives and save lives. And I think that make money is a little further up the chain, maybe. But I do think I have a good friend that's a chemist for one of the big drug companies, and he's in it for the right reason. He lost a father to ALS, and he wants to change the world and save lives. So I think you have to be careful about making those comments, because there are real people that are trying to do real good work out there.
Thank you for that advice. I appreciate that.
Not at all.
It's the people in the boardroom.
I'm the first one to criticize Big Pharma too, but no, Dave, you're right.
As long as we have some of those people in the boardrooms making the decisions and not just the pawns on the front line.
Yeah.
So we've been doing a lot of shows on dementia and Alzheimer's lately. I'm not consciously doing that because I know that dementia in relation to all of the caregivers is a small percentage. I don't even know what the number is, but maybe it's only 20% of all caregivers are caregivers dealing with dementia.
A little less.
And even less, yeah.
A little.
But we've been doing a lot of shows on them just because they've been coming our way. And so again, I forgot my point.
It'll come to you.
That's why I have Adrienne on the show, to take up where I leave off.
Well, one thing I'll tell you that back to Carol's story about the naming of the company and sort of why we wanted to start this. One of the things that we all remembered, because we're all around the same age, and I suspect you guys will remember this too, are the old Vietnam POW bracelets.
It wasn't prisoners of war, it was missing in action.
That's right.
It was people that they did not know. That's right.
And so we recalled as kids having had those bracelets, and how much awareness it brought to the Vietnam War. And so that, coupled with remembering, fast forward now to not that many years ago, the Livestrong bracelets and what the Livestrong bracelets did for cancer awareness. Right. So that was the reason. Those things sort of helped form our opinion on wanting a bracelet, something that was wearable, that would bring to the cause.
And both multi-generation.
Even the Christians used to have them WWJD. You know what that stands for?
No.
What would Jesus do?
Oh,
like everybody would. Like, what would Jesus do?
Okay.
Like everybody had one of those back in the 70s.
I wanted to ask, this is a pure marketing question, coming from retail. Do people tend to buy more than one so that they can wear a cluster?
And what we're finding is the people that do buy more than one, we sell them either one for $38 or 3 for $100. And what's happening is people are buying 3. A lot of customers are buying 3, and then they meet somebody and they give them away, and then we'll get an order from hear about us, and then a friend gave one to me. So people are taking them off their wrist. My mother is a repeat customer, and she keeps on taking them off, meeting people. Oh, and then it turns into the story. And then, oh, my grandfather just passed away from Alzheimer's, and my mother, and she takes it off and gives it to them, and that's to come back for more. So we're finding that a lot of our customers are giving them away, and at $38 or $33, it's not an inexpensive giveaway, but it's a giveaway, and it's making it really. People are just incredibly touched and moved by the generosity when somebody takes something off their wrist and says, "No, take this. It's a gift. It's a gift." And I think that goes to show the need for that connection in the Alzheimer's community, and that are we losing it?
No, we're showing the bracelet.
That need to identify and to speak with people and to connect with people. So,
these ones you're talking about?
I would say it's 70% of the people buy 3 for $100 and 30%.
Wow,
that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, they're good-looking bracelets. What kind of beads are they, or just kind of everything?
They are gemstones. So we have amethyst, aventurine, howlite, wood jasper, carnelian, and onyx. And then we have other styles too. You can go to rivetrevolution.com and see the Renegade, the Rebel, the Ally,
which are leather straps. So it's very masculine, very macho.
One around my neck that you can wrap around your wrist 3 times. I think Susan's got it on. Or wears a necklace. Got a little tiny ball chain with a charm, of a little choker that's on a wax cord. So yeah, we've got some options, and I think we've done a pretty good job at covering all different ages and generations and tastes. We like to think that this is something that you can put on with a business suit, or you can put on with, shirts.
Sure.
So would a guy wear this?
What was that?
Absolutely.
Would a guy, I mean a man, wear this?
All our guys are wearing it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say primarily.
Birthstones, huh?
No, they're not birthstones.
Well, he's saying
like birthstone, yeah. And a lot of people like some of the messages, the beliefs, the powers, for lack of a better word, that are associated with some of the gemstones.
Right.
And that gives people, whether you subscribe to them or not is a personal choice, but sometimes just knowing that something represents either wisdom or strength or perseverance, it's kind of a cool thought to have on your hand. And
right.
Well, I love blueberries, and those ones on the left look good enough to eat.
You might end up at the dentist if you try that. And not with a cavity.
So those are, Dave, those are amethyst, and that's purple.
Really?
We chose those because that's the Alzheimer's color. So that was the first.
Really?
Purple is the Alzheimer's color, yes.
Well, I can't believe how fast this hour has gone. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't you tell us how people can get a hold of you, or if they want a bracelet, or if they just need, Alzheimer's caregiver support because they're just fried to a crisp and don't know what to do. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, we are, you can find us on the web, and it's pretty simple. It's Rivet Revolution, all one word, .com. So Rivet Revolution.
Do people not know how to spell rivet?
Well, I'm not sure, so I will answer that. It's R-I-V-E-T. R-I-V-E-T.
Rivet. Yeah.
Rivet Revolution.
Not rivet.
Not like a frog. Rivet.
Right. Okay. Adrienne, how can our listeners reach you?
It's Adrienne, ADRIENNE, at thecaregiverspace.org, which is also the website. And we're on Facebook at the Caregiver Space. And you can find a lot of good communities on there.
Yes, you can. I love Adrienne's communities. They're small and they're very interactive. I
Yeah.
post something on there, and I'm still getting. I mean, they just keep going on. I
You
still
get
get
answers, yeah.
comments on those, yeah. And again, a reminder that all of our live shows become recorded pod and videocasts on our website. And videocasts are so much better because instead of just staring at the ceiling, you are actually watching the people engage. And I think a podcast just goes a lot faster when you're looking at it. Anyway, caregivers, caregiver.com. And just for doing that, I'm going to send you my first book absolutely free. If you go and see something that says, "Are you a candidate for burnout? Take this quiz." And it's a free quiz, doesn't take very long, like 6 questions, and you'll find out if you are, as if you didn't already know. And we even give you advice on, your score and how you did and how you didn't do and what you can do to improve that score. And that book's yours absolutely free, the digital copy. So, girls, Adrienne, everyone listening, thank you so much. And until our next show.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Dave, thank you. Bye, Adrienne.
It was so much
Goodbye,
fun.
my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver radio show. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at noon Pacific Time and anytime afterwards on podcast to catch more of Dave and his tips to caregivers on avoiding burnout and surviving the grief process right here on the Worldwide Block Talk Radio Network. Goodbye.